And Mrs. Dickie. Absent. Mrs. Dickie.
All right, so it is with sad news that I need to announce that Mrs. Pamela Dickie has submitted a letter of resignation. I would like to publicly thank her for her 6 years of dedication to the Fenton Area Public School Board and to the students of our community. And I will go ahead and read her letter at this time. Dear Emily, this letter is to formally notify you I am resigning from Sorry guys. When you work a long time with someone, it's hard. I'm resigning my board position with Fenton Area Public Schools effective June 1st, 2023. Leaving my board position has been a difficult decision, as the past 6 years has been rewarding. When I decided to run for the board, I wanted to help make sure the district was fiscally sound. I'm sorry. To ensure that all current and future students would receive the best education possible. It is time for me to step aside and allow another to bring their expertise to the board. It has been an honor to be a part of the Fenton Area Public School Board, and I am so proud of all we have accomplished over the years, and no doubt the board will continue the commitment to all Fenton students. Sincerely, Pamela Dickie. Okay. That was difficult to get through. Later on in the meeting, we will outline the process for moving forward to appoint a new board member. The 30 days that we have started Friday during her resignation, so we'll go over everything that we need to do to get that posted and hold the interviews. But can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So item number 4, adoption of the agenda. This is an item that is outlined as best practice for MASB. So if we could all take a look, and if I can get a motion to approve tonight's agenda before we begin.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have support? Support. Okay, we have motion and support. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, agenda has been approved. Moving on to approval of the consent agenda. This includes the treasurer's report of May 2023, the special meeting minutes, the regular meeting minutes from May 1st, approval of candidate overview from our biannual election minutes, the approval of the board workshop minutes, and the acceptance of Pamela Dickie's resignation. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve items 5.1 through 5.7.
Okay, motion, do we have support?
Support.
Okay, motion and support, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to administrative reports, 3D District Cooperative Program, Superintendent Siselsky.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the board, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. This administrative report just reminds our board that biannually we have to approve our S2E2 agreement with both Linden and Lake Fenton. Those board members on that subcommittee will remember we were back in March where we talked about kind of the cooperative agreement that we have with those 3 districts that allows us to have our shared special education programming. The S2E2 agreement is something that the state requires us to do so that the funding stays with the resident district and the scores go back to the resident district. So meaning we test most of the kids that we have in our consortium programs, however, their scores go back to that resident district. So the S2E2 agreement is something that we have to do biannually every other year. It is also just best practice to kind of look at annually. So a lot of the times at our 3 district board meeting that we have, we take a look at the S2E2 agreement and make sure all of the cooperative programs that we have currently are still in that, that S2E2 agreement. If you'll remember, most often, Fenton houses the autism spectrum disorder classrooms. Sometimes we house extra ones because we are the largest district. Fenton, or Lake Fenton houses the priority 1 or emotionally impaired classrooms, and Linden houses the cognitively impaired classrooms. So later on in the meeting, I will be asking for your approval of the S2E2 agreement to allow us to cooperatively conduct those special education programs.
Any questions about the 3D cooperative program? 6.2, Tom Cole, SRO presentation, Superintendent Sizelski.
So if I can get Tom to come on in. Come on over here, sir. Jordan, you come. So for those of you who've been around for a while, you know that Tom Cole has been our SRO for the last 5 years.
Yes.
And he has set the bar extremely high. And I have worked with Tom for the last 5 years fairly closely, not only as a building principal, but also as a central office worker. And I can tell you that we are so lucky that he's been our SRO for 5 years. He is phenomenal. And we are so excited to get Jordan, but he has got tremendous shoes to fill. Tremendous
Block
shoes
the
to
door, I
fill.
don't want
Tremendous shoes to fill. And because this is your last year as our SRO, it is your last official staff t-shirt. Yep. And because you've set the bar so high, we have named our SRO award after
Oh,
you.
that's so awesome. Thank you so much.
And the tears are for joy because it's a stressful job. If anybody knows, a school resource officer is a lot different than it used to be. And he is constantly worried about us, and he's constantly keeping us in check, and he's constantly making sure that our kids are safe from extreme conditions. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I will always be grateful. And so this is your first award, the Tom Cole School Resource Officer Award, and you're the first one. And I'll let him say a little something and then introduce our new SRO, one of our new SROs, and then we have a little video too that we'd like to share.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. This is amazing. Never in my dreams would I think have a standing ovation like this, an award that means so much to me. And having you all here today, so I can say what I have to say. We have tackled a lot of issues this past 5 years. A lot of issues. And as a community, that's what we need to remember, and we need to stay as a community. We will never agree on everything, but we must be kind and respect one another. If we expect our children to do that, we must do it. no matter which side of the fence you're on. And with whatever issue that's come up in the past 5 years that I've been part of, we've had one common ground. And every speaker that's come up to the podium here, the middle school, the high school, library, it's all been the same common ground, and that's what we need to remember today, is the children. What we are doing is for the kids. And that's what I want us to remember. Because now I'm seeing this on national news, I'm seeing it on social media. And I look around and I see a bunch of my community, my friends, my family. And I want you just to remember that if we don't handle this in-house, amongst ourselves, our community, and we allow the outside community to come in, to have no input into this, we are allowing dangerous, radical individuals into our community. We can solve this. I have nothing but confidence in our school board and our superintendent. So much that I bring my kids to these schools. So I want you all to remember that. We can find common ground. We will find common ground. We have to allow the people we elected to do their job as well. And let's keep this in Fenton. I don't want this any more getting out. One, I'll still be around in Fenton, but I don't want Jordan, Officer Grace, walking into fanatics, emailing people and showing up at our schools, because that will happen. That is the next step. So let's get this resolved now, and let's move forward as a family and a community.
It takes courage to be kind.
It does. And I leave that with the kids, and I'm leaving it with you before I introduce your next SRO. Is my biggest thing the past 5 years that I'm leaving the kids with, and I want to leave you with, is just to be kind. Because that's how we can change the world. We really can. One person at a time, being kind. So thank you all very much for the past 5 years. It's been my pleasure keeping your schools and your kids safe. Calling my kids. I am gonna miss them, but I'll be around, don't you worry. Now, it's my pleasure. I am so very excited for the Fenton School District. Officer Jordan Grace here to my left was my hand-picked person from Go. He didn't know that. But now he does. He is newer with us. He's been in law enforcement for over 7 years. I mean, he's been a sergeant. He's been through it all. This gentleman speaks 2 languages. And he cares. The ideas he's already talking to me about, I'm excited. I am so excited for the school district. So I would ask, as me going out, kind of like my last supper, you guys help him, show him the way by being kind. Dramatic. Well, trying to pull everybody together here, okay? But he's gonna do a fantastic job. Jordan's gonna be at the middle school and the high school for us, and he's gonna rock it out. I just ask that you all help him and show him the way, and don't drown him right off the bat. Got anything you want to say there, sir?
Yeah, just looking forward to the position. I've only been in the community for a few months now, almost a year actually, but it's an awesome community to work for and be a part of and just be immersed in. All I see is smiles when I'm driving around, and I'm really looking forward to the new opportunity to work in the schools here, so thank you.
You're trying to make me cry. Mary do this?
Gotta make sure everybody sees this.
So, and I'll just close with thank you, Amy. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Tom's family. I know Jeff is here, but thank you so much. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. Obviously, I'm not leaving to become a dancer. It was close. Thank you.
End of school year data report, Mrs. Melissa Lane and our building principals.
Good evening, Mr. Board. Multiple times throughout the year, our building administrators come and report data from each of their buildings. So that is going to happen again tonight. We have all 5 of our building administrators here. Let's start with our elementary principals. If they want to come on up, they will take you through their data presentation.
Good evening, board members. I'm Stephanie Roberts, the principal at North Road Elementary. So tonight we, Craig and Melissa and I put together just a little presentation for you. It's not too overwhelming, it's broken down by grade level, but I kinda wanna walk you through just a little bit of it too, right? Can we go to the next slide? So this is our math, MWEA. And so this is just to kind of capture the growth from the fall, September scores, to the May or April scores. Basically, we get this data in the fall and the teachers look at it and they identify all the kids that are in the yellow and the orange and the red. And they work all year to pull them into the green and the blue. And the staff did a really good job in that, in math. Same for reading. I think this is a good visual because you can see the big chunks of growth that we've made. And I need to brag on my staff a little bit because they did a fantastic job.
I am Megan Yalley. I am the principal at State Road Elementary. I will not be crying during this presentation because we saw positive growth at State Road also. So if we take a look at our math scores, you will also see those swings in the color. If you look at our percentile rankings in the spring, we actually saw over all the grades a 3% average percentile growth between all the grade levels. We were as high as 8, and in one of the grade levels, so again, bragging on my staff also, they are really doing a great job at identifying what the students need and then implementing the correct and most applicable interventions in a very speedy and correct manner. The students are really growing. If you look then over to the right side, you'll notice in our blue and green areas, we saw just over a 2% average growth in our high-performing students, and we saw a 3% average decline in our red and orange between the two segments. So we're really seeing growth in both areas, decrease of the interventions needed and increase of their high-performing. So it's not even that they're necessarily sliding to the yellow, we're bumping up to the blue and green. So that's math. Let's take a look at our reading. We are seeing similar results in reading, actually a little bit better here. So again, definitely no crying, lots of cheers. 2.7% average median percentile growth over the grades. If you look at the 52nd, 60th, 66, etc., that's that median percentile growth. We are seeing a 4.3% average decline in our red and yellow students that are needing interventions and are qualifying in the bottom 40th percentile or lower. And then in our blue and green, we are seeing an average 3.6% increase in our high-performing students over the course of the year. So again, my teachers, interventionists, coaches are doing a really nice job working with these students and moving them forward. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Kurt Schultz, principal at Toma Eastern. Just kind of like the previous two had stated, the one thing that I would like to point out is I know back in the fall, winter, we were kind of targeting that second grade area. And if you just take a look at that strand there, some growth, but you know, it looks like 1 percentile, but if you look at, you know, the greens to the blues, I think that definitely helps show where those kids are growing in that area. And just overall, obviously it's positive to see the blues bigger on the right than they are on the left there for math. And I think this is our third year maybe with our Bridges curriculum, so I think it's definitely showing that it's a solid program across the board, you know, K-5, and that showing that improvement even through our interventions now, starting to use that as well. Kind of the same thing there with reading. One of the things I will say about our reading is that with that new Science of Reading training PD that our teachers have gone through, I've heard nothing but tremendous excitement about it in helping these kids that do need those identified areas to grow, providing them some resources, some structure, some skills in their toolbox to help some of those kids grow, definitely in their reading area. That's, you know, I wouldn't say it's sluggish, but I think that will definitely give us the boost that we need moving forward to help out our reading scores there. So again, a lot of excitement with that, and even into our intervention, you know, room where we're identifying some of those areas. And I will say our, you know, 4th grade doesn't look the best. If you look, take out, we had one classroom that has a high turnover with a teacher unexpectedly through the course of the year. So if I were to just kind of filter it down to those two, it definitely would show a huge improvement in our 4th grade. So overall, definitely showing growth. Much, kind of start the school year, gave us a good idea where kids were, but now ending the school year, it's good to see that they are on that projected positive growth that we want to see through our students.
Good evening, members of the board, Mrs. Sosalski, Patty Grace, members of the audience. I'm Eric Redmond, principal at AGS Middle School. For those of you that know me, I love to talk about AGS, so I'll try to keep this brief. But we have some exciting NWEA data for you as well. This is NWEA math at the middle school. NWEA is Northwest Evaluation Association. If you haven't heard of it, it's a nationally normed progress monitoring tool. So those of you that may be wondering what NWEA is, it is one data point that we use in all of our buildings at the middle school. We would look at this data and look at students in the red. Typically, you can see at the middle school maybe some indifference with NWEA. When you look at the elementary data, you start to see that at the higher grade levels, 5th grade. It is not as high stakes as MSTEP or the PSAT. You'll notice in all of these graphs that we'll show you, the 8th grade, sometimes in the spring, they have a little test fatigue with PSAT and MSTEP and exams. If you want to move on to the next slide, you'll see some similar data, a lot of status quo, not big jumps in improvement from fall to spring. Typically in the middle school, you'll see the improvement from fall to winter, and then there'll be a little decline from winter to spring. That's very typical. This data does not reflect MSTEP or PSAT scores. The testing environment is an approach at the middle school that we are looking at for NWEA for next year to improve, among other things. This is our algebra students, next is our geometry students. The MSTEP and PSAT, those testing environments are very stringent, like there's no bells, no passing time, they're time tests where everything is quiet, students are spaced out. Distance-wise. So the testing environment from NWEA is strictly, we have a window of time to provide that test, and it is taken during normal class time. We do a really good job in middle school preparing our kids for those high-stake tests. And we are also putting into place some intervention classes that we haven't had in the past. We've had some interventionists that would push in to meet with kids in the red. We look at grades, we look at MSTEP, we look at grade PSAT, social and emotional data, and then NWEA again is one data point to look at students who are at risk, falling through the cracks. When we identify these students, we have a math intervention course that we began last year. We've had reading intervention courses. Now we have them at all grade levels next year. We also have a new math intervention curriculum that I think is going to really help us out as, and these teachers also will be progress monitoring these students' grades, NWEA scores. We're going to be more intentional about data talks at the middle school level as far as dissecting this data and all the data that we have. We have PD for starting to make modifications to our delivery of our curriculum. We're not changing our curriculum, but we can change the way that we deliver that curriculum as far as our NWEA scores are concerned. I also wanted to throw in a little bit of some added data here, just some participation and involvement at AGS. We want our students to be well-rounded students academically, social, emotionally. We want students to be involved. We want them prepared to go to the high school, to be engaged and involved, where they have even more opportunity. This year at AGS, we had 182 student athletes in the fall, 137 in the winter, and in the spring, 116. That is mostly 7th through 8th grade. We have a few 6th graders that can participate in some of the athletic events, but most of them are 7th and 8th graders. We had credit forward with our geometry students, 15 of them, algebra 89 students, Spanish 124 students, French 1. All of those students earned a credit for moving forward to the high school. Some would be multiple if they took Spanish algebra and geometry, so as many as 3 credits are possible moving on from middle school to high school. Our fine arts program, AGS Band, Choir, and Drama, 170 students participated in band, 168 participated in choir, and as if we didn't have enough drama at the middle school, we have a class of 215 of them participated in the drama class. For those of you that are not familiar with our AGS robotics program, there was 26 individuals who won world-class awards and rankings this year. They participated in the national, or the world event in San Antonio this year. They are ranked first in Michigan, 600 teams in Michigan, and they are ranked 21st in the entire world. So we're very proud of that, point of pride. Next, we have 15 members in our leadership council, which would be kind of like analogous to a student council at the high school. This is a very inclusive club. There's nobody. There's not elections that take place. Any student can be part of the leadership council. We also have, and this is a very little known fact today, AGS, Harry Potter Club. And there are 20 members of the AGS Harry Potter Club. Finally, in the spring, we were excited to have a whole school PBIS event. Our last point of data is Mr. Seif was dunked 38 times in 17. At the end of the year, Mr. Redmond was dunked 32 times. So we had a great time, the entire school, for our 4th quarter PBIS. It looks really warm that day. It was really cold. The water was heated, however. So just a little bit of fun there. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
You have a sign on your pants.
Sweet! I'll know where to sit later. Whatever. Hopefully that's on film. This is the last senior prank of 2023. Good work, Maddie. All medal for naught. Members of the board, Mrs. Selsky, Grace, and Madeline. I'm Mike Bach, I'm principal at Fenton High School, and we do not have any data like the other buildings do yet. None of our data comes in until late June at the earliest, and usually mid-July for PSAT 9 and 10, SAT, AP scores, IB scores, etc. So this is just going to be kind of an overview of the things that we did throughout the course of the year, and some statistics as well on the class of 2023. So here we go. Class of 23 had a great year. We can go to that next slide. Thank you. We had 275 students walk at graduation. On Thursday of, 2 weeks ago now, a week and a half ago, Thursday, 275 people walked at graduation. 3 students chose not to walk, but they did graduate. That's pretty common. We'll always have a couple of people who don't walk each year for a number of different reasons. And we have 1 student who didn't quite complete their stuff by the end of May, but is on their way to completing by August, and we have the ability to hold their diploma until August and still give it to them. So this would be the 2nd year in a row when all 12th grade eligible students are expected to graduate by August. We're pretty excited about that. So congrats to all of our classmates. And that picture, photo, credits to Mr. Pierce. There was also a video, actually, can you back up just really quick? I don't have the video, but the head that you see in the bottom left-hand corner is actually Mr. Urick, our athletic director. And one of those caps was literally flying towards the 2nd row of staff, and he put his hand out and somehow caught it, turned to the video and goes, athletic director. And so it really is
right in front of my phone.
Right in front of his face. It's
like
pretty
flying,
sweet. Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Like
so
3D glasses.
it was pretty cool. But anyway, so that was a picture of the caps being tossed. Here's some other grad stats in terms of students who graduated: summa cum laude, magna cum laude, and then scholastic honors as well, and the grade point designations to get them to those levels. Well over 100 students, close to 125 there, students that graduated with some sort of honors 3.4 and above. Next is this is all class of 23 data. We had 82 students that took a GCI course over the course of their career. 78 students took at least 1 IB course. 67 kids took an AP course. We had 14 dual enrolled students who completed 178 college credits. 7 early middle college students, so those students are going to be doing a 5th year next year. They hold back at least one class, usually it's just one class of their graduation requirements, so we don't physically give them their diploma, but they have one class to complete, they'll get it.
They have already earned 210 college credits. Most of those 7 will walk out with an associate's degree after their 5th year. And then we have 6 students who are full IB diploma candidates, and we won't know until mid-July if they made it. And the ones that do, we will introduce them at homecoming on October 5th, or 6th, whatever that Friday is, I don't remember. This year at the homecoming game, we'll introduce them. Local Scholarship Night, if you didn't join us for this, these are amazing numbers. Just under $1 million in scholarships, locally, for Fenton Area Public School students. 64 students received 80 local scholarships for $264,000. If you're not familiar with the Wilsterman Foundation, they're started by a family, the Wilstermans, who started most of the McDonald's in all of Genesee County. And they have a ton of money in their foundation. They gave scholarships to 25 of our students worth up to $500,000. That was just announced last week on Thursday. And we're just one school in Genesee County. You have to live in the county, go to school in the county in order to be eligible for that award. And then the GO Scholarship, which everybody who lives in Genesee County helps pay for and provide as taxpayers. 221 of our students applied. I say approximately 243,000 because they haven't announced how much each kid gets yet. It's gone up incrementally each year from 900 the first year to last year. I know this because my 2 boys got it. Each of them got about 1,100. So it should be right. It's never less, and it could be more than that this year as well. Then these are moving on to the rest of the school. Some of our academic achievements, again, just a few things from this year. We participated in the math science competition again this year, brought home a whole bunch of hardware, which was great. 5 of our students took 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place in different competitions against the other 12 schools in the Flint Metro League. So that was pretty great on all of their parts. 19 of our seniors received the seal of biliteracy, which is criteria that they get when they complete certain things within their world language of French or Spanish. Our business program has been great again this year. They won the Life Smarts competition here in Michigan and went on to the national competition earlier. We had a student who took the Michigan Office Certification Test, and he had the top score in the state of Michigan this year. 2 of our students gave YE is Young Entrepreneurship competition at the ISD. They went home with some cash in hand, which was pretty awesome for them. And then we had a couple of gentlemen who participated in the stock market game, and they had the highest yield. So I'm going to talk to them about my investments in the state of Michigan. So pretty awesome for them as well. Our art program this year, Mrs. Jambeck, we started the National Art Honor Society for the first time ever at Fenton High School. We had inducted 24 members, 9 of which were seniors. They put on a spectacular art show display in April. It was up when the board meeting was at the high school in April. And then we had 12 students who took on the rigor of both AP and IB art and had to send off their stuff. So waiting to hear back on their scores as well. The band program is growing, both in size and in classes that we are going to be offering. Our marching band did a great job at their performances, as well as the band solo ensemble events this year, won some great accolades. Our boosters have been amazing in trying to get us funding and coming up with donations and grants. And we are adding a guitar course next year for the first time. The boosters actually wrote a grant for the guitar course and received 30 brand new guitars and cases free. So that was amazing. And then they also helped me with a community foundation grant that's going to also bring in close to $20,000 for other equipment for the band program at Fenton High School next year. Super excited, they're doing a great job. Our choir program, not to be outdone by the others, had some excellent performances in Chicago at Festival this year. They pick a city to travel to and compete each year, many group and individual awards. They also, if you didn't know, were selected to be a part of the WNEM5 Sounds of the Season special this year. They came in, they taped them, and they put a whole special together. It was really awesome. Kids did an amazing job with that, so kudos to them and to Mr. Wright. And then they continue to receive more special and live performance requests than they can handle every year. So great job by our choir program as well. And our theater department took on a really, really big task this year. They put on more shows than I can remember in my 19 years at Fenton Schools. They did 2 murder mystery shows, one to start the year, one at the end of the year. They performed Little Shop of Horrors as an all-school musical earlier, and then they did back-to-back weekends with pretty much the same cast of kids, 2 amazing performances in the Black Box Theater, both Lord of the Flies and The Wolves. If you had the opportunity to see those. You saw Madeline Bernal in many of those performances this year. I'm not sure how she remembered everything she was supposed to say. And they also have been working, our IB theater students have been working on a joint project with Fenton Police Department as well as FHS about school threats, and providing or producing videos, if you will, about real life situations that are taken on in schools, middle school and high school, of school threats, and what can happen in those types of things. That's still a little bit in production, not quite done. I know that the kids have seen a preview of that, right? But we're hoping to roll that out for not only our community, but maybe even others in the future, to show those things. Some things with athletics: 528 kids participate in at least one sport. 49% is phenomenal for any school district. Essentially 50% of our kids participate in at least one sport. 177, remember we have about 1,075 kids at the high school. 177 did 2 sports and 37 did 3 or more. We had some 4-sport athletes who dual sported in one season and then played the other 2. We won the All Sports Trophy yet again, which is awesome. Congrats to our kids and our coaches on that. The numbers there are pretty sweet. I think we've won somewhere in the range of 40 of them. I don't remember exactly. I lost count after COVID year and some of the other stuff. But and we continue to host a ton of awesome events on Wednesday night. If you're a girls lacrosse fan, you can come out and watch 2 state semifinals. We're going to play out there on Wednesday night. Come out and join me. We'll be out there at 5:30 and 7:30. And we also, Mr. Urick, our athletic director, started a new weight training program with a certified strength and conditioning coach. Started that March-ish, February, March, and it's continuing through this summer. I can say as a parent, because I have a daughter who's in it, it's great. The kids are taking huge advantage of that. We're excited about that continuing. And Mr. Urick is going to come to the board later in the summer with a full athletic report, so I won't steal any more of his thunder. Lots of involvement, not just in athletics, arts, academics, etc., but a lot of club things going on this year. New and returning board game, Eco, Key Club, FYI, all those. We're looking at some new additions for next year. I already have students applying to do pickleball, table tennis, world language, bringing it back, possibly even economics. And we had some pretty cool initiatives. We've done blood drives for years, staff appreciation, recycling, safety town, community service. One of the ones though that Eco Club and FYI, I wanted to just point this out. They came to me earlier in the school year and said, Mr. Bacher, we really need a hygiene drive. And so those students from FYI and Eco Club went out, raised the money, worked with me and our maintenance department. We have now installed in all the ladies' restrooms at Fenton High School dispensers for female products that they may need for free. They're free of charge. They've raised the money to put all those products in there. And so great job by those kids, and they go through and check them on a regular basis for us and do all that work. So super excited about the initiative that our kids are taking every year. We've also done some other things. We started esports for the very first time. We had our first team this spring. A handful of kids that participate in that. We expect that to grow in the different opportunities with esports. We started unified sports in conjunction with Special Olympics. This year we did some kickball games against Linden High School. They came to our place, we went to their place. We've already purchased the needs to do bocce ball next year for unified sports with our special ed students. We've also purchased all the equipment for disc golf. And they're also looking at starting bowling and potentially basketball next school year. So lots of great opportunities. They work with our peers as well as our teachers in our autism spectrum group, and the teachers that run that are teachers of that those students. But all special needs kids are eligible to participate. We also, I went to 8th grade open house at Holly Academy this year. They invited me over for an open house. They told me that they have somewhere between 28 and 30 kids at Holly Academy. 25 have enrolled. We're super excited. We're just taking for everybody else. 16 of those 25 that have enrolled already, and most of them came and did personal tours with us, are school of choice kids. The other 9 were students that lived here in Fenton but didn't go to a Fenton school, at least not in 8th grade. So we're excited about some of those outreach programs that we've done. We're having conversations with our staff about looking at marking period versus semester grading and other things as well. We're working on, this won't be ready for next year, but we are working on a brand new log of semester-long courses only. If you have a high school kid, you know basically everything we do is a year-long. We're looking at providing some semester-long courses to allow our kids to continue to explore different areas that they might have interest in as career development. And then finally, we expanded our partnership with Easter Seals, which is now Easter Seals and MORC. They're a joint partnership, just happened last month. And we had this year just so everybody knows, they were here with us, Easter Seals was here about once a week, sometimes twice last year. They're full-time in our building now. She's got an office, our Easter Seals clinician, Mrs. Buffmeyer has an office just down the hall from me. She had 54 referrals from the high school alone this year, and 46 of them are still receiving services from them. We also had middle school students come over. I don't have those numbers, but next year, middle school is staying at AGS, 19 at AGS. But they're gonna stay there because we've now worked on, we will now have a full-time clinician at AGS next year as well for our students who have some needs in that area. And I think that's it. I'm good. All right. Cool.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
And I'll bring back the data later on, late summer or early fall when we finally get it all.
Okay.
It's not embargoed. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for your time. These are some of my favorite meetings to help celebrate all the student successes and hear all the awesome things going on. I know a lot of us get a chance to pop in the different buildings and see things, but it's always so great and refreshing to hear all the wonderful things the kids are doing. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Wondersen,
Just impressed.
Just impressed, yeah.
No.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you guys.
You got a lot of acronyms, though, I'm telling you.
Listen, I got a chart on my wall. I'm trying to do this.
We're gonna get our schools an acronym. based on
Right?
that.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
Well, thank you. Okay, student representative reports. Grace or Madeline, who would like to go first? I'll go. All right, Grace.
So a lot of the students really enjoyed project graduation. I know my brother had a lot of fun playing poker and whatnot, winning prizes and stuff. And then we have an official pickleball club now. I know a lot of students were working to get that started for a long time. And their first practice is this Thursday at 12 on the tennis court. And then the girls golf team partnered with Point Elks recently, and they're allowing us to have tea times during the rest of the times of the day, so we can get some practicing during the summer without the cost.
I don't have much because I haven't been at school in over a month. But graduation went great. We were all complaining about how the chairs were positioned that way, and as soon as we saw the sun at 7 o'clock, we were like, oh, we get it now. It was perfect. We all really enjoyed graduation. It was nice to see so many board members out there. A lot of people were like, Maddie, who is that? And I was, project graduation was amazing. Huge thank you to Mrs. McDermott. I don't know if you guys heard, but the budget was close to $60,000. And most of it was given away in prizes to the students. Their goal is for everyone to walk away with something, and everyone at a minimum got a Yeti, a sweatshirt, and a $25 gas card. So, yeah, it was amazing. Besides that, just thank you for this opportunity to work with you guys for the past 2 years. It's been really cool to sit in on the meetings. I think I've gained some speaking skills. It's been a great experience, so thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we definitely appreciate your dedication to this role and every month showing up and keeping us informed on what's going on. We really appreciate you. Thank you. We have a little something for you later. Yes. Any questions or comments for Madeline or Grace?
Grace, where do you guys play your matches, your home matches?
Well, we switch between Fenton Farms and Tyrone depending on how busy they are. But usually we're away because most of the schools like have a set course that they partner with. But more recently, we've been like partnering more with Fenton Farms because a lot of our girls work there, so they're allowing us more tea times.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to board, subcommittee meetings and reports. On May 16th, the policy subcommittee met, and the goal of that meeting is we were working through our board protocol and operating manual that we've been trying to get into place the last couple years, that it took a hiatus during COVID, but we've been working through that diligently line by line and just getting that updated. But we will continue to work through that with the goal of getting that to all of you by the fall so that we can all take a look at it and eventually adopt that to move forward. So that's what we've been working on our monthly meetings. We had a teaching and learning subcommittee meeting on May 25th, and Dana's gonna share some report out from that meeting. Yes, we were able to meet
and we are looking at integrating STEAM and taking it throughout all of our curriculum. In the elementary, STEAM is gonna be offered in all grades from young fives up to 5th grade. Next year, it's gonna be integrated through their media time, rotation of books, and read alouds about topics, and time for students to check out books, and alternating times to explore the robotics and other STEAM activities will be provided. And then the summer enrichment, we talked about that. We have 99 students registered for the Lego robotics camp, 190 for other enrichment courses. And we have a summer celebration for those completing the summer workbooks that are gonna be provided. We talked about the MTSS school-wide behavior plans, and Tomac had completed their Title I application. And Mrs. Lane has worked with teacher leaders to create a robust professional development plan for next year to provide to our staff. And then we also were provided a sample of the new teacher induction packets that we're gonna be rolling out.
And then our finance subcommittee met June 1st, so last Thursday. Mike, do you wanna provide an update?
Yep, most of our talk was based around some action items that you're gonna see later in the meeting. So we have some salary increases for support staff, for central office staff, and those are all pretty much in line with the increases that the teachers saw with their contracts. So kind of follow along from there. Talked about the foundation allowance projections. We still haven't received the per pupil numbers yet from the state, but we're waiting on those, so hopefully we'll get those very soon. But last thing we heard, there was like, what about a 450-ish increase, somewhere around there, but it wasn't set in stone, so we're hoping for a modest increase anyway with the foundation allowance for students, so that's good. But we're still waiting on that, so.
Yep, and then we were, talking about projected enrollment.
Right.
And thinking probably conservatively down about 50 students at this point for next school year. So we're keeping our eye on that also, as we get our new kindergartners enrolled and just see how enrollment goes throughout the summer.
You said 15, right?
50.
50. Yeah,
we're budgeting.
Yep. Alright. Any questions about subcommittee meetings?
I just want to say for the teaching and learning, I was glad to hear that something was coming for new teachers, an improved system for that, because that's something I've always thought was needed to be improved. So I'm glad to see that you guys are working on that.
And Mrs. Lane, could we share that brochure out to, just email that out to the rest of them? Awesome. It's a nice little packet available for when new teachers begin, so. Okay, all right, citizens request to address the board. So of education on agenda and non-agenda items. All comments and concerns are to be directed to the board in an orderly manner. Comments that constitute a personal attack to any employee or board member totally unrelated to their duties is prohibited by the Open Meetings Act. So please, in your comments, refrain from calling out people by name. Please be advised this is not an opportunity for participants to converse in two-way communication with the board, but for the board to hear comments or concerns. If warranted, school administration will follow up as necessary. We ask that everyone is respectful to ensure the safety of all. Your public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. Mrs. Jones will be keeping time, and she will raise her hand when you have 30 seconds left to speak. We ask that you be mindful of the time, as we want to make sure everyone who would like to speak has an opportunity to speak. And per policy, it is requested that you preface your comments by an announcement of your name and address. So I am going to go in the order that I've received these. A few of these were received previous to tonight's meeting, so I'll start with those. Heather Bachman.
There's a delay on the video, so they wouldn't hear you.
Is there a Heather Bachman?
There's quite a delay. I'll print it over so they have a list, yeah, so they can kind of see who's next. Who's want me to sit?
Heather Bachman.
No, Heather Beth.
Okay. I will circle back to it at the end and call the name one more time, just to be sure. Danielle Carter.
She's got lists in the other room that she's going through too, but we may have some people out in the parking lot too.
Okay. Danielle Carter. Christina Girardi. And these three were received previous to tonight, and so perhaps they are not in attendance tonight. Okay, I will circle back to those at the end. Those were the three that we had received previous to. So I will start with Catherine Carswell.
Hi, I'm Catherine Carswell. I actually live in the Lake County School District. I'm a teacher at Fenton. Just telling my address. Okay, 2271 Crane Road, Fenton. Good evening. My name is Catherine Carswell. I'm a teacher at AGS. It's been a difficult year, not because of the hours or the struggles to get sixth graders to bring pencils to science class, or any of the other million things that happen in the walls of a middle school day in and day out. It has been hard to handle the thousands of daily tasks in a school district while being accused of vile things like grooming or indoctrination. Having also been a school board member at a neighboring district during COVID, I know you too have faced hate while performing a thankless yet vital job. I came tonight to thank you for supporting the Fenton teachers, and I wanted to share a note I got from a parent this year. It reads, "Dear Catherine, there are no words to adequately express how thankful I am that you came into student's name, life, when you did. In your own understated way, you helped him to begin to restore his faith in humanity. Thank you for showing up for him, fiercely and honestly. I've never even met you, but I will never forget you, and neither will he." This note made me feel, like a hero instead of a villain. It reminded me that my work matters. I wanted to share it with you, the board of Fenton Schools, because you gave me a place to be that hero. Without you supporting our superintendent, and our superintendent supporting equality for her teachers and students, I would not have been able to support my student. Thank you for doing the hard work of creating a space where all students and staff feel included and can share strengths to be each other's heroes. Thank you.
Patrick Naswell.
My name is Patrick Naswell. I'm a Fenton resident with a child attending AGS Middle School. As the father of a child in a mixed-race family, I support equity and inclusiveness in schools and an environment where everyone is welcomed and no one is left out. I reject bullying behaviors and believe all students deserve to know that they can find spaces to learn, grow, or just be. I know that many children struggle to find safe spaces, and I applaud teachers who are able to help young people know that they are safe, supported, and can be themselves. I originally came here to speak on another topic related to athletics, which I feel is somewhat related. But there's been some movement on that, so I'm gonna pivot. My child at AGS has relayed some stories to me about the things that he's heard, seen, and experienced in the school. Racist and homophobic remarks, acts of aggression and intimidation. They're truly bothersome. In fact, they're scary. The impact of these moments and instances will not be soon forgotten by my son or anyone else who has to be the victim of these things. These are lifetime memories that they will hold. They happen on nearly a daily basis. I believe that it takes privilege and ignorance to not see these acts. On the other hand, it takes leadership and bravery in the face of difficult conversations, difficult moments, and aggressive people to address these issues. Not only that, but it will take loving support and an occasional kick in the pants from your supporters. You want to see Fenton schools support the diversity, equity, and inclusion that our students deserve. The diversity, equity, and inclusion that will lead to their success, not just in school, but in life. Not all progress feels good while it's happening. This sucks, it's gonna suck. I'm here for it. Progress will take systemic, purposeful, steady, and strong leadership. My son has endured people shouting the N-word in his presence, calling him and other people of color monkeys, and one person writing the N-word on his tablet. Fortunately, our middle school principal has been proactive in his response to this. But the change doesn't happen at a school by school level. It happens at a district level. To move forward, we need system-wide policies, broad-ranging professional development, diversity and behavioral training for students, and deliberate and purposeful development of academic and extracurricular opportunities to promote diversity. We are going to overcome those who promote fear and hatred. We are here to protect our kids and our community from hateful rhetoric and actions. It's our responsibility, it's yours. Stay strong.
Mr. Maxwell, I need you to
And we
please
have
sit
your
down.
back.
Thank you. Emily Newberry.
Hello, thank you for letting me address you. My name is Emily Newberry. I live at 815 East South Holly in Fenton. And I've lived in Fenton with my husband for 13 years, and we have 2 children who attend Fenton area public schools. First, I'd like to thank the board for continuing to support First Amendment rights for our teachers, volunteers, and parents. I think we all agree that things are very scary today, and that we all want the best for our kids. The people who disagree with signaling inclusivity to our students are a very small but very vocal number of people. These few individuals are preying on fears and using misinformation in order to project their own tactics of intimidation, hatred, and even violence onto those who disagree with their agenda of suppression and exclusion. Locally, Fenton Families First is operating as part of a larger national movement of groups such as Moms for Liberty and Utah Parents United, who are disrupting local school systems nationwide because they cannot have sole control over the curriculum. Their tactics are the same in each case. They find something to object to in each community. In our case, it was a badge. In other cases, stickers or books in the library. And they begin the divisiveness and fighting, and then they quickly move on to book bans and challenging curriculum. Their vision of education is not one that fosters inclusivity or tolerance. Instead of working to increase the visibility and acceptance for our most vulnerable children, these few voices seek to make them invisible by removing their history, representation, and acknowledgement that they exist. I'd like to make it clear that there are many more parents who can't attend these meetings due to after-school events, making dinner, other family obligations. 194 of these folks who have a stake in our community have signed their names to the following statement, which I'll be presenting to you, and have allowed me to present their names to the board. The statement reads as follows. Fenton Area Public Schools should be inclusive of all students, no matter what their ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender expression, religion, abilities, or other lived experiences. Bullying and exclusion are serious issues that many students face for a variety of reasons. We believe that outward signs of support for these marginalized students are not only the right thing to do, but what we stand for as a community. By signing this petition, I urge the Fenton School Board to continue to support our most vulnerable students and create an atmosphere in our schools that allows for the visibility and sense of belonging for all of our students. I want to thank you again for all the work that you've done, and I'll be submitting this for you. Thank you.
Jen Mitchell.
Good evening, I'm Jen Mitchell. I live on Fawn Valley Trail. I was really hoping that I would not have to be standing up here again tonight before you addressing the equality badge, but well, here we are. It's all good. It's been 6 months or more since parents have been coming to board meetings expressing why the badge should not be allowed or supported in the district. It will be a year next month. The district of 4 or more FAPS teachers went to an MEA conference that was all about the badge. My question is, has the NEA or the MEA promised anything to the school district if they supported this badge or encouraged the teachers to wear it? We know this badge doesn't include all students, which is why that is one of the main reasons why it shouldn't be supported. All students must be supported. I think we can agree that all children change their minds many times. They change their hair color, their nail color, their friends, their boyfriends, their girlfriends. The list is endless. So why should we think that they can make a life-altering decision to be gay, lesbian, or transgender at this age and not regret it later? Studies have shown that the brain is not fully developed until the age of 24. Yet we are going to allow these children, ages 4 to 18, to decide what is best for them and their bodies. Let's go back 3 to 5 years ago. If a student was considering transing into an opposite sex, we would have been very concerned for them and got them student help and to let the parents know. But nowadays, the school district is supporting this type of stuff and yet helping them do it without parental knowledge. Where has our common sense gone? You say you're on the board because of the students, the teachers, the safety of the students, and that you want your community back. If you're all here for these reasons, then we need to put an end to this badge and everything that it represents. It doesn't represent all Fenton Tigers or our community. And lastly, if you want our bond to pass, I suggest we start making better choices for our school and our community. I'm afraid the community won't support our school system and the bond won't pass. I believe all of you have a good heart and want what is best for all of our students in our community. But sometimes I feel a lot of you have outside influences that are causing you not to make the best choices for our school district and our community. I thank all of you for your service. I do a thankless job.
Leanne Bedwick.
My name is Leanne Beckwood. I live and pay taxes in Fenton Township, and I prefer not to give my address. You can ask me later.
I'd like to start out by saying that the Fenton Family First, which I am a member, the group is really being misrepresented. We are not a hate group. We care about our children, we care about your children, we care about everyone's children, parents and grandparents. I just want to tell you a couple months ago, a conversation that I had with my young neighbor. She's 13. We're sitting at the dinner table, not at her house, and homosexuality came up. And one of the parents said, we really want to talk about this at the dinner table. And we all just kind of looked at each other and like, what's the big deal? And she said, she chuckled and she said, half the kids at AGS, where she is a student, think they're homosexual. And I said, really? She goes, yeah. Half the kids think they're homosexual. Do any of you think that's odd? That half the children at AGS think they're homosexual or have homosexual tendencies? I find that very odd. And I think this agenda is encouraging it all. This agenda is encouraging this conversation. Not that the conversation shouldn't be had, the conversation should be had. But when you have a bunch of impressionable young children talking about their sexuality in an inappropriate place, with inappropriate people, with no recourse or no knowledge of what in the world they're even talking about, half of them, that's a problem. That's a problem for me. And I think it should be a problem for all of you too. When 50% of the children at AGS think they're gay. I mean, I'm not homophobic. I don't care what anybody's sexual preference is at all. But what I am phobic about is that this school system is encouraging children, when they have questions about their sexuality, to go to a teacher. Not a sexual psychologist, which there, by the way, are not very many because it's quite a new field. Go ahead. Oh, okay.
You have 30 seconds.
But teachers that are not trained in this area to talk about any of this stuff. What are we getting ourselves into? Like, this is, to me, it's just insanity. Why are we doing this? I believe there should be a program. Obviously, there should be a program. The teachers are not the people that should be talking to the students about sexuality.
That's time. Thank you for your comment. Scott Holmes. Scott Holmes.
Hello, my name is Scott Holmes and I live in Fenton. I'm a proud parent of 2 Fenton students, one in high school and one in middle school. Thank you to the school board for allowing me the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm here to discuss the importance of unity in our community and schools, the importance of inclusivity for all of our students, and to help ensure that the school board is aware of the need to have our schools become a more safe, accepting, open-minded, and non-threatening environment for all our youth. Just to be sure that we're all in agreement about what equality means, the definition states that equality ensures every individual has an equal opportunity to make the most of their lives and talents. I believe that this is what we would like to provide for all our children. Don't you agree? The issue stands, though, that by not allowing an equality badge in school or allowing other such bans to occur, this tells students that not everyone is represented or that not everyone matters. This is not indoctrination. This is exclusivity. Furthermore, exclusivity leads to hate, bigotry, and bullying. This is not what we want in our schools. We will not allow a small minority to speak for our community when a majority of us want to be understanding, kind, loving, and compassionate humans. Thank you to the board for voting to allow the badges to still be worn in the schools. This remains an important step in preventing a very slippery slope where further closed-mindedness can develop. Our schools need to remain a place where it is taught that everyone has equal value and that this is a safe place for our students to be, no matter who they are. In the coming months, we would like to continue to discuss and work with the school board to develop programs such as anti-bullying campaigns, SEL, social and emotional learning projects, and DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion training and education for both staff and students. We would like to work with extending the State Board of Education's resolution supporting LGBTQ+ students, staff, and allies to ensure that Fenton schools adopt these policies. We extend an invitation to all parties or individuals that would like to work together to make our schools more safe and inclusive. This should not be an us or them effort. It can involve anyone who is looking to improve our students' sense of inclusivity and value. It has been said in these meetings that there is willingness to compromise and work together. This is the time to make that effort. Become involved, learn to work together, learn to accept all, no matter what. Our children are worth it. Thank you for your time.
I'm Tisha Andrews, a resident of Fenton and parent of 3 children at 3 different Fenton area public schools. I would like to thank the board for acting in the safety of teachers and staff while also continuing to support freedom of speech and marginalized students in the district. Speaking today is difficult for me because I have concerns about retribution from those that may oppose my statement, not only for me but for my children. I can only imagine the anxiety that our LGBTQ differently abled and children of color face in school. Sorry, didn't expect to get choked up.
Got this. Yep.
Okay. We talk about protected classes as though we do not need them. If we did not have protected classes, the only protected class would be white, cisgender, straight, able-bodied males. I would love to live in a country where this was possible, but we are not there yet. Equality does not mean less for others. It means making room for more. I told my children to seek out a teacher or a staff member that wore an equality badge if they ever encountered racism in school. To me, the badges are a way for a teacher to self-identify as not only an ally, but an ally who is emotionally ready to help with equality and identity-related struggles. As we have seen, we do not all agree on what equality means. Allowing teachers and staff to wear the equality badges is necessary, both for students and for staff. Thank you.
Donna Anderson, I live on East Street in Fenton. Thank you to those board members and to the superintendent who support teachers trying to create an inclusive environment in Fenton Public Schools. Thank you to the board for not banning the equality badge. I am here to support our marginalized students who deserve representation. It's a sad day in our community and in our country when people are angry because the LGBTQ community is finally being recognized and supported. I commend the board and the district for not allowing these angry people to sway you from your commitment to do the right thing. If we look at our country's history, it's not surprising that a segment of Americans are pushing back on these changes. Abolitionism was considered a controversial political issue that divided the country and led to a civil war. Slavery was abolished in 1865, and those who fought for abolition were on the right side of history. When women fought for the right to vote in the 1870s, it was considered a controversial political issue. And Susan Anthony was arrested and convicted for voting. Women were finally given the right to vote in 1919, and those who fought for that right were on the right side of history. Civil rights were fought against hard by people and politicians. George Wallace served 4 terms as the governor of Alabama, and while I was only 5 years old in 1963, I remember seeing Wallace on the television saying aggressively, "Segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever." The Civil Rights Act of 1964 outlawed segregation and barred discrimination based on race, color, religion, or national origin. Those who fought for civil rights were on the right side of history. Change, even positive change, is always fought against. It's been 8 years since the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that same-sex marriage is legal. And most of our society, 62%, is becoming more accepting of the LGBTQ community. The fact that there are people angry about these changes doesn't affect the fact that they're the right thing to do. And those who fight for equality and inclusion, including this board, will be on the right side of history. Because a pastor spoke at the last meeting, I will only add that I see no conflict between standing up for this marginalized community and following Jesus. Jesus loves everyone, and the last commandment he gave us was to love one another. Thank you.
Emily, did I receive 2 forms for you by mistake?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Just wanted to double check, thank you. Kim Owens,
She's not here.
not here? Jordan Brown.
Hello. Jordan Brown of Remington Court in Fenton, class of '09. Wouldn't be getting up here without a Go Tigers. Come on.
Go Tigers.
Thank you, thank you. I'm a sister to an FHS student, mom to a North Road student, cousin to AGS students, and sadly a sister to another student who has left the district due to bullying and harassment. As a proud member of the Fenton community, I will continue to address the school board on a topic near and dear to my heart. As the daughter of same-sex parents, a fact that I don't find particularly extraordinary, but has indoctrinated me into a life of and career of kindness and service. As Officer Cole mentioned earlier, we must remain a community. And at the end of the day, I'm here for my daughter, but also the children and grandchildren, every person in this room. The importance of showing our children the ability to come together to find the best way to support all members of our community is an exercise that I might have been introduced to in Eric Rettman's inaugural year of teaching, but was enhanced later in Mr. Lawrence's AP government class. And I've spent most of my life and career leaning into that role. So I urge my fellow Tigers to come together to support the LGBTQIA, the different bodied students, the black and brown students, and all the other students that may not fit into being a straight, white, able-bodied Christian. As an alum of FHS, I witnessed far too many aggressions of racism, homophobia, Islamophobia, and I'm heartbroken to stand here almost 15 years later, and it seems to be worse. I don't remember a single person having an issue with me having 2 dads in 2009, but my brother is leaving the district due to this fact. Does that make sense? So, furthermore, I'm saddened that there are parents in this community that more than ever are leaning into this divisive culture. And I want to protect all of our students. Again, like I said in our very first meeting, we are right down the road from the tragedy at Oxford. And I think every student here should have a voice and an ability to feel safe within our district. I personally invite all of you here to listen to the points of view tonight, to get out of your comfort zone, and perhaps in the spirit of Pride Month, find an extra love and care in your heart for your neighbors. In the nature of coming together, I encourage anyone who hasn't had the gift of diversity into your life to give me a call, message me on Facebook, find a way to connect with me, and I'd be happy to discuss homosexuality at my dinner table anytime.
My name is Laura Sutsky. I live on Ridgeview Trail in Fenton, Michigan. And I think Officer Cole is right. We have a common ground. I think we all want inclusivity. And I would like to say to you and your family, I'm very sorry for what you're going through. It's not right. I'm sorry. But there are two sides to every story. And I feel like one side feels like we're threatening the LGBTQ community. The other side, I feel like, is standing up for children. The other side is protecting children from age-inappropriate material. That's all it is. Thank you.
Jennifer Dillard Tate.
Good evening, my name is Jennifer Dillard Tate. I have a son who attends the high school, as well as two nephews and a niece that attends North Elementary. I'm here again to advocate for all children and families to be treated with equality in the Fenton Public Schools. I guess I'm thinking of Flint because that's what the district is starting to remind me of, how individuals are acting. At the last board meeting in April, I asked the board a couple of questions. I asked them to ensure all district employees understood and were aware of the board's policies and that they were implemented consistently for all students. I also asked the board to ensure policies were put in place to ensure equitable practices for all children and families in the district, to ensure that and hold teachers, administrators, and coaches accountable for their behaviors. And it truly saddens me. I hope that I'm able to finish my 3 minutes of conversation without tears. The tears that we have seen, the majority today, have been tears of joy. And unfortunately, the last few people that you've heard are not. And that's because the hope is that you all are going to make policies and ensure that they're followed through to make sure that kids can be safe. It doesn't make any sense for children not to be able to come to school and feel safe and feel that individuals will advocate for them. Diversity, equity, and inclusion stands just for that. So those of you who are here and have a lot to say in regards to the LGBTQ community, educate your children and help them understand, so when they do hear things, you're telling them the truth and they hear it from you first. Because racism is real, and we're here talking about pens. I'm here to talk about the safety of kids, okay? And that's just not appropriate. I went through your communication plan today, and on here, your mission and vision is all spread throughout the district. And it says that you're gonna empower, you want to make sure that students are empowered to excel in an evolving world. And for the mission, you are stating that you are creating innovative leaders for a global society. How is that if kids aren't safe? And they don't feel like they have individuals who have been identified throughout the district that they can go to if they are having issues, if they are being threatened. Because last I checked, bullying, there is a policy. You also have a DEI policy, but often when it's time to call individuals out, what we get from administration is that we don't understand, we don't deal with this, so we're unsure of how to handle it. I suggest that you all get DEI training for the entire district, as well as ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, And I know it was stated today that children's brains are fully developed at 24. Actually, according to the ACEs study, it's 26 to 27. So we might want to make sure that we are here, as our mission and vision states, for the safety of kids, to ensure that everybody gets an equal education and that we're holding individuals accountable. And I know, just like you're holding us accountable for these 3 minutes, let's do that with the board's policies and safety of kids.
Savannah Turbett.
Oh, thank you. Whew. Hi, my name is Savannah Turbett. I live at 854 Outer Drive in Fenton. As I've heard before, at the last couple meetings, I am a taxpayer. I live in the city of Fenton. I have a daughter that will hopefully become a future Fenton Tiger if, you know, these situations that are happening here end up in a way that would make me feel comfortable sending my daughter to these schools. There's been a lot of misinformation, I think, that's been spread about the LGBTQ plus community. I believe that the parents that are against these equality badges are scared. I'm not sure what they're scared of, but they're speaking out like they're scared. And yeah, I feel for people that have fear, but knowledge is the best tool against fear. So, you know, looking into these situations and figuring out what they actually mean is great ways to quell those fears. I myself am a bisexual woman. I am married to a man, so I am in a straight passing relationship. I have that comfort of being able to walk around with my husband and not be targeted as somebody from the queer community. I am friends with a lot of people that don't have that luxury. And I don't want them to feel unsafe being themselves in our community. I do believe that most people in our community do support the LGBT community in some sense. Whether or not it's, I let people live the way they want to live, or if it's, you know, full support. I believe that you're allowed to love the person you love. One of the things that I keep hearing is inappropriate materials being shared with children. As far as I know, the only materials being shared, or the only conversations being shared with children around the LGBT community are, somebody can have 2 moms, or somebody can have 2 dads. And I don't think that's inappropriate to share with children. It's just a fact. You can't have 2 moms, you can't have 2 dads. You can't have, you know, 1 mom raising you. You can have a grandparent raising you. You can have any kind of family raising you. And it's important to feel represented when you're at school. You know, other things that have come up, I know that, you know, people are, 30 seconds? Okay, I'll be quick. I'll get to my other points. All I want to say, lastly, is thank you, board, for listening to everybody. I'm sorry that you have to have been through this for, I think somebody mentioned the last 6 months of people coming to these board meetings and talking about the same issue. I know that you guys are doing your best to be supportive where you can, or, you know, just following what is in your DEI mission, as you have stated, and what is in your policies, because it is great to be supportive of all students, and all students look like everything. Thank you.
Elder C. Newberry.
Hi, my name is Elder Newberry. I currently live in Grand Blanc, but I am a former Fenton resident. I wanted to buy a house, and one of my price range was in Grand Blanc, but I still come here because I have family, I have friends, I eat here, I shop here, and I hope to return someday. I attended the May School meeting, the May School Board meeting, because I have 2 amazing nieces that attend Fenton schools, and I came to support them and the teachers and staff, supporting them. But I didn't engage in public comment because I myself don't have children in the Fenton schools, saying that right up front. But I'm emboldened to do so today because several people at the previous meeting without children attending Fenton schools spoke, most notably women from Heartland who had no stated connection to the school except living in a neighboring community and having a strong opinion. As I said, I have 2 nieces. I have friends whose children go to Fenton schools, and I'm speaking for them. One of the most important lessons children learn throughout primary education is humanity and civility. It is in the halls of education that children learn how to shed selfish motivations and become part of a community. They learn how to work with each other and see a world larger than their own and perspectives beyond that which they are familiar. One thing I heard multiple times last meeting and touched on this meeting as well is arguments to the effect, teachers wearing these badges show my children that they aren't included, that they don't matter to these teachers. These individuals express the belief that somehow teachers acknowledging and supporting a group or a few groups in need are somehow unable or unwilling to support all of their students. And I feel really bad for those children, all the children, because inherent in that viewpoint is the belief that unless something directly affects them, then it doesn't matter. If someone else is having difficulty and they are not, that difficulty has no weight or substance. Teachers are some of the most important figures in students' lives, and allowing them to show their support and empathy for their students and their burgeoning identities can be vitally important, especially when those students cannot be themselves at home for fear of their safety or their place in their family. I wish I couldn't honestly say that I had classmates from high school that harmed themselves, nor witnessed the aftermath of these tragedies, but unfortunately I can.
Laura Wagenlander.
Good evening. My name is Laura Wagenlander. I live on Elmwood Drive in Fenton. I'm a Fenton resident, a taxpayer. I'm a teacher in the Fenton schools, young fives at Tomek Elementary. I'm the parent of 2 former Fenton students, 1 current student who will be going into their junior year of high school, and 1 employee who works with our child care. It was very difficult to sit through that last meeting and listen to all the misinformation and outright lies that were being said. I too think that those are coming from people from a place of fear and misunderstanding. I want everyone to know that when you hear about the FEA and the MEA making these decisions, it's me. I am the human being, I am the face that said, this is something we need at our schools. And I'm very proud of that. It had not even come to any of our, it was not an idea of any of ours until we saw the badges sitting there. The MEA had nothing to do with this other than the fact that they had badges. I wore my old one. Look, there's no QR code, and there never was a QR code. We decided we needed this because we have students that we see every day being marginalized. 2 of those students are my own children. And now I have a child that is a staff member that is a member of the transgender community and is being targeted by outside forces, not even members of our own community, but outside forces because of people stalking their social media postings. They're putting my videos of my speeches. I'm sure this one will end up on going viral as well. I wear my badges proudly to conferences and anytime I am out and about in the community. And I'm amazed at the number of people that stop me because they have seen other speeches that I have given. And 9 out of 10 times, I would say it's all positive remarks that I have gotten. And that one that that isn't positive, usually ends on a positive note because we are able to have a conversation as a person to person. I am your neighbor, I am your child's teacher, I've gone to high school with some of you. I am a human being, and that is what I want you to keep in mind. These children that we're saying do not need this outward sign of acceptance and welcoming. They are human beings. And I have 2 children at home that I think are beautiful human beings that I wish I could show their pictures right now, because every time you say, I don't want these symbols, I don't want this talked about, you are denying my child's right to be a part of our community.
God knows each one of us individually and completely. Whether you believe in him or not, he knows us all, every thought, every deed, and every intention of our heart. 100% of the time, he is without us. There are no secrets from God. Scripture says, you brought my inner parts into being. You wove me in my mother's womb. I praise you, for you made me with fear and wonder. Marvelous are your works, and you know me completely. God did not create you to separate other children from their parents or God. Scripture also says, do not love the world or the things of the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not within him. For all of that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. It is not of the Father, it is of the world. Satan is currently the prince of this world. Jesus will come again and put an end to that. Scripture also says, do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived, neither sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor male prostitutes, nor homosexuals, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners will inherit the kingdom of God. And that's a very long list, not just the pride community. All sin is against God, and we are all sinners and must repent of our sins. But there is hope, because Jesus continues to say, such were some of you, but you were washed, you were sanctified, and you were justified in the name of the Lord Jesus by the Spirit of our God. Please know that God wants you to hear this message, because he loves you. I love you enough to deliver God's message to you, hoping you'll change your ways. You may believe that God loves you just the way you are, but that's not true. He loves us in spite of the way we are. But whoever misleads one of these, Jesus says, one of these little ones who believes in me, it will be better for him to have a millstone hung around his neck and be drowned in the depth of the sea. God or not God, there is no in between. Life or death, eternity with God or eternity in the great lake of fire and sulfur. There are no second chances after we pass away. Better a millstone around your neck and be cast in the depth of the sea. You choose. You choose quickly and choose wisely. Thank you.
Jeanette from Fenton, and I do want to thank the board for all that you do. I know it's not an easy job when you get up here and ask questions, but you know what, this is our right to do so. And so we're gonna keep doing that and asking questions and asking about the policies and why certain policies aren't being filled. That's why we coexist. It is our right to do that. and I appreciate all the presentations earlier and the graduates and the success of students, et cetera. I think it's a wonderful community, and that's why I'm here, because I want to see it continue to be that way. I really would like to remind everyone, and I correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we're supposed to address the audience, but we are or we aren't.
We're supposed to give our addresses too.
Okay, because, I thought I'd address the board, so I would appreciate if you call that out, because I'm always confused about who I'm talking to up here, but people are allowed to address the rest of the.
Address, please.
They know my address.
We don't.
I live in Fenton.
Address, please.
So you guys targeted me on
Go
TikTok.
ahead and continue speech, everybody
Can
please.
she
just
not
let her talk.
address me then?
Go ahead.
Can I have my minutes back or my time back? Thank you. I'd like to remind everyone that those of us against the badge on this side of the issue do not hate anyone. We believe that consenting adults have free will and the right to make their own choices. We just don't want the schools teaching minor children anything other than the approved curriculum. And we certainly don't want them having sexual conversations with minor children. Leave that job up to the rightful people, the parents and the legal guardians. Today I read a post on Facebook by the group Fenton Families for Equality. I'm gonna read some of the excerpts and you tell me, no, you're not gonna tell me, but does this group really seek equality for all? Is this the kindness that we heard spoke about? Is this the inclusion? Are we the bullies? They called us as riding on the coattails of nationwide hate groups. They named the groups. They said that our little group was created intentionally and systematically to attack Fenton area schools, its students, its teachers' unions. We're predictable, we're divisive, we're political, we're overwhelming, and we're not parents in the district. Well, I can tell you that there are a lot of parents in this group. And the reason that they don't speak out, there's many reasons that they don't. But they fear the retaliation for themselves, their business, their kids, and so they remain silent. We know it, they know it, you guys know it. This is the problem. We're loud at meetings, and apparently we threatened staff members and school board members on social media, etc.
That's the time.
Is that the time or the 30 seconds?
That's the time.
Okay, thank you.
Dean Haas.
My name is Dean Haas, Fenton, Michigan. I'm not going to do my address because I've already been targeted twice, so I don't think I'm necessary to do it, so you can put your sign up all you want. I wasn't even sure what I was going to talk about till I listened to everybody in here and what they had to say. And it became very easy. They keep talking about equality. They keep talking about inclusion. But they only want equality and inclusion for their group of people. Only the people that they want included in their inclusive. That's not what equality is. That's not what inclusivity is. That's not the way it works. You include everybody, every group. I don't care if you're a white single man or child or whether you're gay. If you're inclusive to everybody. It's equality for everybody. That's not what that badge does. It's not what it represents. You're basically now, with that badge and what they've done, they've segregated not only our community, but our teachers, our students, our entire community. That's what you're doing by including. If you want equality, I'm all for it. You want a badge that says equality, fine. Let us say just that. Don't put colors, don't put anything else, just say equality. And isn't equality, isn't what all of our teachers do anyways? Aren't they there to help our students? Why did they need certain ones to have these badges and certain ones that don't? Because they don't want to be part of that. Because they don't choose. Now they've been segregated out there in the community of the school itself. This is not right. This is not about equality. This is not about inclusion. This is about segregation. You said you don't want segregation, you said we fought, well, you're creating it today.
Do you have kids, grandkids?
Yes, I do, and I went to school myself.
Please direct your comments this way.
So, that's all I would say. If you want equality, let's do equality for everybody, not just certain groups. Thank you.
I'm Deanna Syker, I live on Walnut Shores, in Fenton. I'm a graduate of Fenton High School, and I have 3 children that graduated from Fenton High School. So, I wasn't gonna get up here tonight and talk about the group, but because I feel like an attack was made and the name called out, that I might as well talk about Fenton Families First, because I'm part of that, and actually I'm a co-founder of it. And the group is not anything that's being put out there by Fenton Families for Equality. The mission statement of Fenton Families First: committed to defending the freedom and liberty of all adults to live their lives how they choose, while protecting minor children from undue adult sexuality influences in our public schools. We will always place families first, helping to raise our children to be equipped to compete and thrive in today's world. We're not a hate group, but that's what they're calling us. So I wanted to read that mission statement for everybody, because obviously it's not being read, and we're being called out as a hate group. And I'm just, that's very disturbing to me, because it's completely misrepresentation. And the second thing that I want to say is, every time I come up here, I talk about how the board has existing policies for sexual harassment, for discrimination. You have policies for all of these things that everybody here is talking about. So if all of these problems are out there and people are being bullied, discriminated against, etc., then there's a problem that the existing policies are not being enforced. And that's what I say every single time I come up to this podium. We don't need badges to protect people. Teachers should all be inclusive and protective of all the kids in the school. And the board should be enforcing the existing policies. So that's.
Rochelle Edmonds. Rochelle, if you need to speak from there.
Okay.
You need
If you wanna take the sheet, you can take my turn. No, I'm good. Okay. So as many of you know, I ran for school board, and I did lose. And I've been coming to some of these meetings, and I am absolutely disgusted by everything. Why hasn't our board brought our community back together? Why hasn't there been an email sent out talking about the badge? Why are we even in this position? I just don't understand. It's divided our community. I've had people say things to me on Facebook. I've been one that I've said things on Facebook, because it makes everybody angry. We all need to come together as a community and stop this, and we all need to work together. And I would be the first one to have a meeting with both groups to figure this out, how we can come together as a community. I have 3 children in this district, 1 coming back this year. My son graduated, and I used to have a problem with one of the teachers at that school. And you know what my son said to me? That teacher actually, it was his exit presentation. And my son was very thankful to this teacher, who actually sits on this board. But let's all come together as a community and figure this out for our children and for everybody. I'm not for anybody's side anymore. I just want this to stop, and the school board go on teaching our kids education. Everyone is equal. Everyone needs to be equal in this community. And that's all I have to say.
Lori Adams. Lori Adams.
about that, it's really delayed in there. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Lori Adams. I live in Fenton. I had 2 children go through Fenton schools and graduate, and I have 2 in the district right now. 2 grandkids, I mean, in the district right now. The reason why I wanted to come and speak tonight is I wanted to do a follow-up on the phone call I had with the superintendent, which I thank you very much for calling me and having a great conversation. I'm here because we discussed something I thought was going in a very positive way, a survey that could probably just kind of get an idea of what the whole district, where we want to go, what do we want to do. Because I'm like Rochelle, I think that we do need to come to something, we need to move on. However, I think it needs to be just Fenton residents. This is a Fenton issue. It's not for everybody else. Because you know what, every other community, they've got their own values, their own beliefs. This is Fenton, okay? And this is what we want, what we want shouldn't be what happens right now. I'm sorry, that's how I feel.
Laura, can you direct your comments this way, please?
Sorry. Now, one of the things that I've been hearing tonight is that, well, I want to know how the survey is going. So that's one of the things I'm here to see. Are we moving on with the survey? How's it going? That would be something I would like to have a follow-up on. I believe that everything I've been hearing tonight is that everybody is saying that we're not supporting, or this is supposed to be supporting our most vulnerable students. But I kind of feel like that we really should be, because I'm a teacher in another district, I feel like we should be supporting all students.
Yeah.
All students. And there's gotta be a way that they can all be heard, safe, and feel like they're all being, because it can go both ways. I have heard multiple kids feel like they can't say anything against the badge, so it kind of goes both ways. I've heard people say the other way, that they want to support the badge. But I really believe that right now, it is, I know that there was somebody who up here who said it was not developed by the NEA or the MEA. It is, and if you want the proof, I can show you directly where it came from. So I don't want that to be misconstrued. It is a political movement. It was developed by the NEA LGBTQ2+ caucus. I've got the documentation. I can show you. Now, the other thing that I really feel like is that the group I support, I'm very concerned about hearing that multiple people say that they have been threatened by the group that I feel like I represent. And
that's time.
Okay, I want to know, I'm going to be forwarding that information because I don't think that that is something that can be done and said without it being evidence on that. But thank you. Thank you for
Was there 2 forms? Double check.
I had them checked off.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to John Jordan while I double check that one. Yep, I have it.
Yeah, there. Well, hey everybody, I'm John Jordan. I live on Shiawassee here in Fenton. I went to school here part-time. I don't know. Man, I ain't coming from a place of fear. You shake my family tree and there's all kinds of leaves gonna fall. Some I didn't even know about until I got older. And as I got older, I got over all my adolescent fears. And that's what we're talking about, is adolescent kids, right? They're gonna have fears. They're gonna have doubts. They're gonna have closed-mindedness about a lot of things. And as you get older, man, that stuff starts to fade away, or it don't, Bullying happens. Man, I grew up in this town, as a music teacher's kid. I understand about being bullied, it happened. And it wasn't fun, but that wasn't my whole world. I had a lot of good buddies and friends and grown-ups too, man. Mr. Lazar, he's a great teacher, he tried to guide me and direct me. And I can pick them guys out, you know, Mr. Lazar, he was cool, and Mr. Wolford, you know, they tried to help me out, I couldn't hear it, you know? And I think, honestly, I figured all the teachers that were safe, you know? And I agree with the fact that if we put up one thing, that's not inclusion, that's not, you know, unity, it's separation, you know? I think if all the teachers got this badge and say, hey, we're safe, just one badge, just one Fenton thing, that doesn't have to be separate. If it's gonna be separate, well, let's put the addicted kids. You know, there's a lot of passion in this room. Hell, I was addicted when I walked around in the house. You know, my son died. Fentanyl. You wanna talk about passion? I got passion about this shit, you know, excuse me, but holy cow, slow down. Maybe we should have some of the kids in the schools sitting here telling us what they want. We're all here adults, I'm hearing a lot of, you know, I mean, I'm not coming from fear and I'm not trying to take anybody else's inventory, man, but I'm hearing a lot of unresolved issues coming out, and this and that and that and this. Holy cow, why don't we get these kids in here and say, hey man, how's your school day going? From what I can see, what the principals are saying, it looks pretty good. You know, I go to the Powerhouse Gym, and there's a lot of Fenton and local kids in there, sports kids, you know. They're good boys. They're good boys. You get horsed around the locker room, and I'll never forget, they say, it touched me. They're acting up and doing this and that, and one of them goes, hey man, check that. All right, cool. You know, so I just wonder how much of this is fabricated from some leftover crap, man, you know. Quickly, I'll say this. My mom taught music and she taught English really good. She stayed with her one focus and she did that pretty good, I believe. I commend teachers. I know the sacrifice. I grew up with it, you know, that they make. Let's just stick with teaching. Teaching.
Cheryl Beck.
I'm Cheryl Beck, I'm a Fenton resident, Fenton parent, mom and grandma to over 400 elementary students, and a FAFSA employee. Thank you to the board for continuing to hear our voices. After attending meeting after meeting about the same issue, I'm concerned that some are ignoring the facts. Our superintendent has spoken. The attorneys for our district have concluded that this is a First Amendment right, so it's time to move on. There are other items that our board members need to work on, and I appreciate your valuable time. Thank you.
Stephanie Pimbawani.
Okay, thanks. It was a lot cooler in here. I'm Stephanie, I live in Fenton. I do not want to give my address because things have gotten extremely hateful. I'm not a Trumper, I'm not woke, I'm not a member of a hate group. I don't care what consenting adults do. So lesbian, gay, transvestite, I don't care what you do. You're an adult, do your adult thing, don't care. I am a concerned resident of Fenton. I'm concerned with the current division in my community. I've never seen anything like this. Adults are judging, slinging mud, involving kids in a badge dispute. This is not only disgusting, but is dividing our community into two. Apparently after I left the last meeting, it was asked why a subcommittee on the badge was formed. I have the answer. Subcommittees are political maneuvers that are done by politicians, usually to bury issues. It's very insightful that Ms. Pugh brought up the subcommittee.
Excuse me, Stephanie, we cannot name anyone by names, please.
Oh, sorry. It's very insightful that the Democratic chair that's on the board brought up the subcommittee and immediately nominated herself, one other person for the badge, and one person against the badge. I don't support the badge for 3 reasons. It's not inclusive of all students.
In response, I was told the badge is to support marginalized students. And who determines or judges what student is marginalized? What about the anorexic student, the homeless student? Further, the badge is causing students now to feel left out, as already mentioned by a previous speaker. Second, no evidence-based research has been provided that suicide rates are high in Fenton due to sexual confusion. In fact, Fenton schools don't even keep data on suicides. Third, there is no evidence-based research to support the badge is effective. Why is something that is emotional and politically based in the schools? I've had very pleasant conversations with Dr. Bush, and when I asked, he responded that Fenton's curriculum is evidence-based. Therefore, everything in the school buildings needs to be supported by research and evidence-based. The badge is not. Therefore, you have no idea of how you are affecting all students. My only conclusion is the badge was brought in for political reasons. I'm led to believe this as recent changes occurred this past year in the district. An individual was elected to the board with political ambitions. She's the Genesee County Democratic Chair. Second, there was a change within the teacher union, I believe. Regarding the teachers, you may believe you are right in wearing the badge, but you're not. In my opinion, you have jumped on an emotional and political bandwagon. Further, the students are not your children.
That is time. Thank you for your comment. There were a few, just in case they were in the parking lot or did not hear, I'm gonna repeat. Heather Bachman. Did we get confirmation on that one? Okay. Daniel Carter. I mean, I can run back in there. Okay, on those ones. Okay, Christina Girardi. We'll just do them all, just for thoroughness. And Kim Owens.
Hi, my name is Kim Owens, 7415 Heatherwood Drive, and I'm the mother of 2 Fenton students. You've heard the quantitative research that LGBTQ youth who have just one supportive adult in their life are 40% less likely to attempt or commit suicide. Let me provide some qualitative research to that. In 1985 at 15, I was outed to my entire neighborhood. A group of 8 to 10 women, many of whom were very close family friends, were gossiping at a local donut shop. I do not know all that was said, but I do know many expressed concern that I may have harmed their children while I was babysitting them. They wondered what my parents had done wrong since they were such good people, and bemoaned the fact that my Catholic education did not prevent this terrible tragedy from happening. The only reason I know this is because my one adult was there, a kind neighbor who, looking back, probably recognized that I was gay long before I was ready to admit it. She immediately spoke up and defended me, chastising the women for their false accusations and general unkindness. She came over that same day when I got home from school and told me, without going into graphic detail, another kindness on her part, what happened. I cannot describe the wave of shame, fear, dread, anger, and hurt that washed over me. But I can still vividly feel it, almost 40 years later. And then she said something that I'll never, ever forget. If you ever need me for anything, I will be here. I will talk to your parents with you when you're ready. I will answer any questions you have, and I will always, always defend you. And just like that, my story turned around. It wasn't always easy, but it was bearable because I knew someone cared about the real me. I had my one adult. I got lucky. I didn't have to find my adult. Most people, even today, are not as fortunate. That is why the badge and other outward signs of acceptance and inclusivity are so important. So all of our kids, know who their people are, the ones who will stand up for them without question. I am so grateful that the board recognizes this and voted to keep the badge. I urge you to continue to show support to all of our students moving forward so that they too can find their adult. Thank you.
Yep, okay, thank you. Here, you can have it. Okay. All right, thank you all for your comments. Before we move on to action items, I would like to request a quick 10-minute recess. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Okay, motion and support? Okay, I have a motion and support. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we will come back at 8:13. Let's do 8:20. All right, so we're on item 10, action items. All right. All right, so our first one, 10.1, a motion to appoint a temporary board treasurer. So in light of Mrs. Dickie's resignation, today's motion is to approve a temporary treasurer that would start today through June 6th, which is our next 25th? 26th. June 26th, when we have our budget hearing and our meeting for our budget. So the next 3 weeks, just to conduct our board business, there will be some papers that need to be signed off tonight. But beyond that, want to make sure everyone has time to think about if the treasurer is something they would be interested in taking on as an officer role. And you would need to be on the finance subcommittee for the remainder of the year. At next meeting, we can take nominations to officially appoint someone to take over as treasurer. So if anyone is interested in that before then, let myself or Stephanie know. But for tonight, we do need a temporary treasurer for the next 3 weeks. My recommendation would be to appoint Mr. Pierce, given he is currently on the finance subcommittee. So it would be a seamless transition for the next 3 weeks while we have someone else, if they are interested, take over. But I am open to any other recommendations or if anyone else is interested at this time.
You all want it.
I move to appoint Mike Pierce as temporary.
So before, Mike, would you be willing to take that on?
Yes, I would.
Okay, so we have a motion to appoint Mr. Pierce as temporary treasurer. Do we have support? Support. Okay, we have a motion and support. Any discussion?
So then there will only be 2 people on the finance committee then?
Currently, just for the next 3 weeks. Yep. If anyone is interested in coming, so in the past, when we've had someone sick or we have someone who can't make a subcommittee, if one of you is interested in showing up to, if we do meet prior to then, you can just let us know. And we can have 3 people at that meeting, absolutely.
When is the next one? I don't think we officially have it on the board.
Yeah, we don't have another one on the books yet.
I think it's prior to our next July meeting, so we will most likely. The morning of the 26th. Okay, so the morning of the 26th, so think on it. If any of you are available, do we have that time, Dr. Bush?
We don't, but
Okay.
feel free to create one.
Okay, feel free to create one. Mr. Pierce, you and I will, historically, we have met at 7 usually. I know we are in kind of summer mode with the office, so I don't mind pushing it back, but we can work together. If that's something you guys are interested in attending, let us know. Okay? All right. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So, Mr. Pierce, check with Stephanie, because there might be some things for you to sign tonight. All right. 10.2, resolution to approve the S2E2 3-district cooperative program. Superintendent Sosowski.
Yes, thank you very much. This is what I spoke on earlier, during administrative reports. This is the S2E2 agreement that we have with the 3 districts. Again, biannually, we need to approve this so that we can, not only share programming with them, but also share our, score structure, share our finance structure. So I'm asking, that the board approve our biannual agreement with Linden and Lake Fenton, in our cooperative programming.
Any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the updated S2E2 agreement between Lake Fenton and Linden Schools?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have support? Okay, motion and support, any discussion? Okay. Yep, we will need a roll call on this one as it is a resolution, so Stephanie, can I get a roll call?
Yep, Mrs. Prue?
Yes.
Mr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross Messler?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jewell?
Yes.
All yes votes.
All yeses, resolution carries.
Thank you. Emily, we'll just have you sign that before the
Yep.
end of the night.
Great.
I have also the next one, to approve membership in the Michigan High School Athletic Association. This is something we have to do annually. It's not something that is automatically done. I think some people have that interpretation that because we, are in Michigan, we automatically are a part of the MHSAA, and that's not actually correct. So we have to approve not only, being a part of the MHSAA so that our kids can compete in state competitions, but also ensure that, our middle school also is a part of MHSAA. So, this is something we have to do annually. Many of you who've been on the board know that this comes up every single year. And at this time, I'd like you to approve for us to join the Michigan High School Athletic Association.
Any questions? Okay, I need a resolution to approve, the membership into the Michigan High School Athletic Association.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Can I get a roll, any discussion first? Okay, Stephanie, roll call please.
Mrs. Prue?
Yes.
Mr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross Messler?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jewell?
Yes.
All yes.
Thank you. And Matt, we'll have you sign that one before we go today. Thank you.
10.4, resolution to approve Executive Director of Special Services contract, Dr. Doug Bush.
Thank you, Mrs. Ross Messler. Members of the Board of Education, I'd like to invite Lori Morningstar to come up. Pleased to introduce her tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about Lori and then give her an opportunity to introduce herself and some family members she brought as well. On May 1st, the Executive Director of Special Services position was posted after Dr. Courtney Such was appointed Superintendent of Schools at Edwardsburg. 8 individuals applied for this open position. 4 were selected for interviews, which took place on May 18th and May 23rd, with staff representing teaching, building, principals, parapros, and central office members. I think we had over 20 people on the interview committee over 2 days. Mrs. Lori Morningstar emerged as a top candidate for the position of Executive Director of Special Services. Originally from Flushing, Lori graduated from Central Michigan with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Special Education, with a certificate in K-5 all subjects, kindergarten through 8th grade language arts, and emotional impairment. Lori also attended Marygrove College for graduate education, earning a Master in the Arts of Teaching degree, and finally she has completed her Special Ed Administrator graduate coursework from Saginaw Valley State. Lori began her education career as a special ed teacher at Davison Community Schools and then moved to Carmen Ainsworth as a resource room teacher. Following Carmen, she accepted a position as a teacher consultant at Flushing Community Schools, and in 2019 she was promoted to Director of Special Services in Flushing. So we're pleased to introduce Lori Morningstar as our new Executive Director of Special Services. I'll give her a chance to speak just a little bit, introduce her family she has with her, and then ask the board to take action on her appointment.
Hi, thank you for having me tonight. I'm very excited for this new adventure, and it was quite the excitement in a couple interviews, but we made it through, and I'm very excited to be here in Fenton. I did bring my husband and one of my daughters. It's Gene, and he's a high school science teacher. And then my daughter, 8th grade. She's a middle school student. A couple others were at softball and different activities. So, but thank you for coming, and thank you for having me. Thank you.
Welcome.
Avery was promised a lot of ice cream. And Culver's across the street. Working on that.
Hold out for Uncle Ray's.
Yeah. I do take 10% off the top for the ice cream.
So I need a resolution to approve Executive Director of Special Services, Mrs. Lori Morningstar.
I move to appoint Ms. Lori Morningstar as Executive Director of Special Services, effective July 1st.
And I will support that. Any discussion?
Well,
Okay, can I get a roll call?
Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Beers?
Yes.
Mrs. Rossmaster?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
And Mrs. Jewell?
Yes.
All yes votes.
Great. Welcome.
Yes, welcome. I just wanna say we're very lucky, very, very lucky that Lori wants to join us. We really didn't know we would get that qualified of a candidate, so we are very excited about Lori. Very sad to lose Courtney, of course, but very glad to have Lori on
Very
board.
confident that Lori will be, all the staff will be great hands.
Flushing's losses are dangerous, for sure.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, 10.5, motion to authorize bond sizing and scope. Dr. Doug Bush.
Thank you, Mrs. Rossmessler. Members of the Board of Education, in January of this year, King Scott and the district teamed together to conduct a facility study. King Scott is an architectural firm. The King Scott team conducted a comprehensive facility study that resulted in over $300 million of potential facility needs. The district, King Scott, and George W. Alt Company, who's our contractor, pared down the facility needs in conjunction with staff and community members to $123,950,000 worth of projects for a potential no tax increase bond in November of 2023. This action item requests approval from the Board of Education to authorize the district, King Scott, and George W. Alt Company to complete a preliminary qualification application, or PQA document, and submit it to Troon Law Firm to be filed with the Michigan Department of Guess we're building a prison too.
Same thing.
I watched a documentary this weekend on a corrections department. Michigan Department.
Oh, that was funny.
A potential bond would be structured to reflect a no increased tax levy over the current rate and be sold in 3 series in the following amounts. The first series would be sold in the first quarter of 2024 in the amount of $49.7 million. A second series sold in the second quarter of 2026 in the amount of $54.1 million. And a third series sold in the second quarter of 2029 in the amount of $17 million. Now, what this action item does today is it doesn't finalize an actual bond bill. It doesn't finalize the very specifics of what may be built or constructed. It simply authorizes the district and our agents, King Scott and AUK, to complete the application. Mrs. Sosowski and I, along with those individuals from King Scott and AUK, would meet with the Department of Treasury on June 19th. And then we would bring that back to the board for final approval on the 26th. Ultimately, in August, if the district decides to move forward, we would have another resolution authorizing November election. So this doesn't necessarily finalize a complete and total bond down to every classroom, every detail. This simply gives the district and the partners that we work with the go-ahead for that $123 million figure that we've discussed at a number of meetings over the past 6 months, And also the general scope, again, it doesn't get down to the specifics, but it is giving us a go-ahead to present this to Treasury for potential qualification. You know, the specifics will continue to be worked on throughout the summer prior to an August 7th authorizing the election. Or authorize, a resolution to authorize the election.
Any questions? Okay, we need a motion to authorize bond sizing and the scope for King Scott and George W. Ock to prepare preliminary qualification application on behalf of Veterinary Public Schools. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion how about support?
Support.
Motion and support, any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Bush.
Thank you.
Okay, 10.6, staying on up there, resolution to approve contracts and salary adjustments for non-affiliated district administrative staff and central office support staff. Dr. Bush.
Thank you, Mrs. Ross-Messler, members of the Board of Education. This action item requests approval for our non-affiliated administrative staff, which is the group of directors and supervisors other than the principals. They bargain as a unit. And the central office support staff that work here in this building for a salary adjustment for the 2023-24 school year, that fiscal year, which begins July 1st. And the request is the same as we have for our principals group that was ratified last year and our teacher group that was ratified last year as well. This would bring this particular group into parity, which is a 1% increase on schedule and a 1% lump sum payment off schedule. Again, similar to the principals and the teachers, with that lump sum falling in December of 2023. The item was reviewed with the Finance Committee earlier this month, and we recommend it for your approval this evening.
Okay. We need a resolution to approve the updated contracts for non-affiliated district administrative and central office support staff.
Resolved to approve the updated contracts for the non-affiliated staff, district administrative, and central office support staff.
Second. We have a resolution and a second. Any discussion?
Dr. Bush, just a clarification, is it just those, we're only talking about those that are listed in the attachment here?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay. Can I get a roll call?
Yep, Mrs. Crew? Yes. Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross-Messler?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones? Yes. Mr. Welch?
Yes.
And Mrs. Field? Yes. All yes votes.
Okay. Resolution carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bush. Okay, 10.7, resolution to approve salary adjustment for support staff.
Thank you, Mrs. Ross-Messler, members of the Board of Education. This is somewhat of a companion resolution to the previous one. So, as I mentioned, last year we reached contract settlements with our teachers union, our principals group. Just a few moments ago, the non-affiliated administrators and the support staff working in this office. And then this resolution is requesting your approval for the exact same salary structure for our support staff. So that would be all of our support staff working directly for the district and all of our support staff that are subcontracted through our third-party partner GEX. The same salary structure with a 1% on schedule and a 1% lump sum payment in December of 2023. So this last resolution will bring all of our groups into parity with the other groups that were ratified last year.
Any questions? Can I get a resolution to approve the salary adjustment for our support staff?
I'll take that one too. I resolve to approve a 2% salary increase for internal and external support staff with 1% distributed on the salary schedule and 1% as a lump sum in December 2023.
Support. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, can we get a roll call, Stephanie?
Mrs. Crew? Yes. Mr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross-Messler?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones? Yes. Mr. Welch?
Yes.
And Mrs. Field? Yes. All yes votes.
Resolution
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bush. Okay, item 11, board announcements. 11.1, so on June 15th, there will be a policy subcommittee meeting. Did we have a time outlined for that? 7 a.m. Just as I said with the finance meeting, if anyone is interested in joining, if you're available on the 15th, reach out to myself or Stephanie and let us know if you would like to join that meeting on that day. As far as subcommittees go, the new board members that came on with our subcommittees, we were finishing up this school year, so this summer, we will have an opportunity to take a look at that again, and then we will assign new subcommittees in the fall. So if you're available to fill in Pam's shoes coming up and you're interested in that, let me know.
Are we also gonna get some type of feedback thing so that we could?
Yep, so Stephanie will be sending out like a little survey, just kind of list your top 2 choices, and so we'll kind of work with trying to get everyone at least on one of their top 2 choices for the next school year. Yep. June 26th, so we will have the finance meeting that morning, and then that evening we have the truth and taxation hearing, which is the budget meeting, and then we also, that will be our tentative date for our board vacancy interviews. So I'll kind of go over that right now before I go over, well actually I'll wait till the end and then go over it. On July 10th is our regular scheduled board meeting. That's pushed back due to the 4th of July holiday. So July 10th is the next regular scheduled board meeting. So Board of Education vacancy. As I mentioned with Pam's resignation, our 30 days to fill the vacancy. If we don't fill the vacancy within 30 days, the GISD will appoint someone to sit on our board. Per our requirements for the vacancy, after tonight, we've voted to accept Pam's resignation. So there will be a posting that goes out for 10 days. It will be officially posted, the information will be on the website. Stephanie will have the information as well. And people may submit a letter of interest if they are interested in joining the board, and the interviews are held in a public meeting. So in order to fill our requirement of the 30 days, we're looking at holding those interviews attached to our June 26th meeting to make sure we are in compliance with the 30-day timeline. In the next week, be on the lookout. We have done this several times in the past. I myself was appointed in 2019 through this process. So this is a process the district has done over the course of several times, twice since I've been on the board. So there are 3 questions that have been used in the past. The MASB has a list of 25 questions to pull from. So Stephanie's gonna be emailing out those questions along with the questions we have used in the past for these interviews. And take a look at them. If we think, we'd like to limit it to about 5 questions per candidate. Everyone will get the same questions, but I want everyone to weigh in on what we think are the best 5 questions that we wanna ask from the list of the MASB questions. And then we will narrow down those 5 questions and we will go from there. We will reach out to those who are interested, and we will determine based on how many interviews we get. There's kind of no way to know right now. You know, our meeting's typically scheduled to start at 6 o'clock, but if we have several interviews, we might need to start it earlier in the day because we want to give everyone a chance to interview. Mrs. Burke.
I just wanted to add a question about the structure of that
Yeah.
meeting. Will we have to call a special board meeting for that purpose? Because,
Nope.
okay, it can be done in like committee of the whole? And will we vote and take action on that same day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We will get all of that information out to you in the next week. Stephanie's gonna be organizing the posting, so, yep, we will get all that.
Okay.
If it was a different day, then we would have to post for
Yeah.
the
Just wanted to
special.
make sure I understood the process.
Yeah, absolutely. If we were wanting it to hold a different day, we would have to post it as a special meeting, but you can tag it onto an already scheduled meeting within your 30 days.
Okay.
Any other questions on that right now? If not, I'm sure you'll think of some. Feel free to email myself, Heidi, Stephanie, and we'll make sure to get all of the MASB information out to you guys.
So after we hear the interviews, does the board decide, or does Heidi and the board decide, or
No.
how is that?
We as the board decide, yep. There will be a rubric that we use as we are interviewing each candidate based on how they answer the questions. So everyone will get a score, and the process works like we will all go around and, I believe when we did this with the last appointment in 2021, everyone went around and gave their top 3 that scored the highest according to the rubric. And then we kind of just worked around till we narrowed it down, based on everyone's score. But there's a whole, packet from the MASB on this that, we'll make sure that gets emailed out to you with that list of questions as well.
Can you limit the time of responses? Like, does everybody have the same amount of time to respond to each question? Because I would wanna suggest that. Has that been an issue before or
No,
not?
it's not been an issue.
Okay.
They just answer the question.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Are they given the questions ahead of time?
No.
Okay.
No.
So we decide what the questions are, they just come to this as like an interview?
Yeah, and it's part of the open meeting, and how we've done that in the past is, I'm just gonna throw a number out, say you have 6 people show up that wanna interview. We'll introduce the process to them, and we've actually had them go to the small conference room and have them come in one at a time, so that people aren't hearing the questions at the same time. It's not fair to someone who interviews last to hear everyone else's responses. So we call them in one at a time, so that, yes, public is here hearing their interview, but not the other, interviewees. All great question. Anything else you can think of?
How many in the past, we've done this before, what kind of interest has there been from the
Yeah.
community for
Yeah,
this kind of?
that's a great question.
position?
So Dana might have more knowledge on that. It's been done twice in my time on the board. I wanna say the first time there were about 8, the second time like 9 or 10. So it just depends. Do you,
I think that's.
Is that about
Last time
right?
we did it, I think there was somewhere just south of 10.
yeah. Yeah. If you think of any other questions, feel free to reach out, but we will be getting you all that information this week. Okay?
We did a little over a week ago, and trying to be a little bit more transparent in the communication on what's going on. I just wanted to give a real quick update on what we talked about at that workshop, and as it pertained to the subcommittee meeting that we created at the last meeting. And we tabled it, and we tabled it for some reasons of, which were valid from both sides. Just wanting to make sure, one, that we have fair and equitable representation in the committee, and trying to figure out how we can do that, which I'm fully in favor of. And you know, some of the other things that we talked about, which were maybe creating a survey to be able to talk about these issues that we've wanted to discuss. But I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we're not, it's not getting swept under anywhere. We're talking about it. I'm doing a lot of research on surveys, and what I'm finding is quite astounding about, one, the amount of different ones that are out there, and how you go about getting information from people, and what's important, and how to disseminate that information, and what it may cost to do these things, and how accurate they are. Because ultimately, we just don't want to take 2 steps forward and 1 back. So that's all I wanted to just give a brief summary based on the workshop and talking about it. And I wanted to sidebar real quickly and thank, since the meeting, I've had a little over a handful of people that I've had discussions with, and about numerous topics that we've talked about, that have reached out to me, and we've had some really good engaging discussions. And I wanted to thank them. I'm not gonna name them, but they know who they are. Some of them have been here tonight. And I really wanna thank them for taking the time, for having some really good dialogue and civil conversations that I got an awful lot out of, and I was able to share that with a few people here on the board as well, and I'm hoping to continue that going forward. So I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Welch. Okay, anything else for the good of the group before the superintendent's report? Heidi?
You kind of stole my thunder with 13.1. It's just, I wanted to remind the kind of public, there were some comments the last board meeting about when we start regular board meetings, when we have special meetings. Typically our regular board meetings start at 6 o'clock. We're very fortunate to be streaming now, so those, as many people can watch as possible, but those start at 6 o'clock. There are times that we have to have special meetings, like we had last month where we have a biannual election for the GISD. Typically our workshops for the board are longer than a regular board meeting. So for them not to go home at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, we kind of start those a little bit earlier. So, and again, every meeting is a public meeting. You are more than happy to attend at any point. But I wanted to make sure kind of everybody kind of knew that that's kind of the structure of which that happens. Regular board meetings, and then sometimes we have special meetings. I think Renee asked that question because, you know, it's a ton of work, and they're here a lot, working either in a subcommittee meeting or working at regular board meetings or working on their craft as board members as workshops. So part of that report out was just to thank you for the hard work that you've put in the last, I don't know how many months of how many board meetings we've had. Thank you for the workshop. I thought it was awesome. You guys worked really hard. We got a lot of good discussion going on that, and I'm hopeful that we can kind of keep moving because it was really good. And I know I mentioned that in our board notes that I sent you guys, but I really wanted to make sure the public knew. I appreciate all the hard work that you guys are doing. I really do. Summer programming, huge thanks to Melissa Lane and the Department of Teaching and Learning. We have more summer, every year we've gotten a little bit more summer programming. And this year it's like gangbusters. There's so much offered there for kids. It's amazing. So I appreciate all the hard work that's gone in. That department has really put their nose to the grindstone and come up with some really cool things for our kids to engage in this summer. So I really very greatly appreciate that, and I appreciate all the teachers that are volunteering to give up their summer to teach all those cool classes. So thank you very much. Lastly, we just want to recognize Miss Madeline Bernal for her service to our board for the last 2 years. Sometimes it's a very thankless job for adults, but it's really thankless for teenagers. So we really appreciate it. We have a small gift and a small token for you to say thank you very much. And we wish you all the luck in the world when you head up as a Husky to Michigan Tech, where I know you will do great things. Thank you. Alone, we do have somebody coming in as a junior rep that she can mentor through her senior year, so we're excited that person will start in July. You and I will talk.
Well, Maddie, thank you. You will be missed, and best of luck.
Thank you.
In everything you do. We've really enjoyed having you at the table here with us. All right, well, if that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Okay, motion, do I have support? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any